Hey guys, Thunder E here, and as you've seen in the beginning of this video, as the projector has risen up, we're talking about the best projectors to get under $1,000. Now, each of these projectors, I got them from each of the different manufacturers. This video is not sponsored by any of them. I'm giving you my opinions for all. Now, in this video, we're actually using a dedicated projector display. This is an automated display, automated floor rising display is the best way to describe it. It's from a company called VidStorm. I definitely purchased this off Amazon, and you can, and it varies from size. So you can go from about, I believe, 75 inches all the way up to like 150 in terms of the size. And it's pretty cool, especially if you don't want to hang your display on the wall or from the ceiling. Nice, use remote control, fully great automated process. So take a look at it if you're looking for displays for your projector. So let's start with our very first projector. And I think this is one, of course, a lot of people will look at. Now we're going to go through each projector, and then we'll go through all the different categories to see which is the best one there. So this is the Samsung Freestyle, or the Freestyle, if you will. And Samsung announced this earlier this year. This is a super light portable projector. As you can see, you can put it in different positions. It's got that free hinge that allows you to position anywhere. Comes with a USB Type-C port for charging. There is a mini HDMI. There is a mic button. You can mute that for Bixby usage. And of course, there's projector controls. Also comes with a very nice, neat, compact remote control that allows you to do all the different functions you have here. Nice, compact projector. Now, the very next projector is from Nebula, or actually one of the companies that is owned by Anker. This is the solar portable projector. Now this here has a riser at the very bottom that allows you to position it at different heights. It does have touch controls on here, increase volume, reduce volume. At the back, HDMI port, Type-C for charging, USB if you want to side load, as well as also a power button. It also has a built-in battery in here, and it has a standard remote, Nebula remote, with of course Google Assistant built in, which is nice, and just some very standard function. Runs off Android TV 9. Now, next up is from benq. I actually have two benq projectors I'm looking at. The first one is, the GV30. Now, I really like the look of the GV30 because it's got this more stylish look to it. And it does come with this stand, which allows you to swivel it into any position possible so you can actually have your projector positioned well. There's HDMI port, there's USB Type-C port, there's a headphone jack, and there's a DC power port. You can either power by a USB-C or of course the DC port. Now at the very top, you do have Bluetooth button. You also have volume rocker, and you have a power button. This, however, can open up, and within it, there is a USB dongle, and that is where your Android TV is housed for this projector. And it does come with a standard remote. The benq remote here does have Amazon Prime as its featured streaming service on the remote control. A nice, simple remote for that. Now, the second projector from benq is the benq GS50. The GS50 has the stand which you can elevate or reduce so you can position your projector at any height you choose. You do have buttons at the top, power, as well as also increased volume and Bluetooth connectivity. You have speakers on the side. There is a DC port at the back. And then on the left-hand side, you do have a port cover that allows you to connect your USB Type-C. You have, of course, full USB, HDMI, and of course a headphone jack. And when you pull up this back cover, you do have a housing for a dongle, which also runs Android TV off there and allows you to use that well. It's also got a built-in battery within this projector. Now, coming to the last two, we do have the Nebula Mars 2 Pro. This is an interesting projector. It's got a handle right on the top so you can carry it around. You've got all your ports at the back, HDMI, USB, DC port for power, audio. Then you've got controls, volume, Bluetooth, a back button, and then you have an indicator for your battery. And of course, there's speakers built into this as well. To turn on the projector, you simply just slide down, and that actually powers the projector. Slide up, and that turns it off. Pretty cool and nifty right there. And finally, our last projector is, of course, the Epson. Now, the Epson EF12 has speakers built all around. powered sound by Yamaha. You've got controls at the very top, and you've got your, of course, your projector lens here. You do have this adjustable feet like the others that you've seen, allows you to position your projector in any angle. And on your left-hand side, you have a USB port, you have two HDMIs, one's an eARC as well. There is a micro USB and also a headphone jack for the projector. So those are the projectors out there. Now, with all these projectors here, they all have built-in speakers. That's something they all have in common, every single one of them. Now, out of all these projectors here, 4 of them have batteries built in, while the Samsung can actually use external battery source like a power pack, or say the special power pack that they do have with it, while the Epson does not. So that is the laydown for each of these devices. Also, the prices for each of them are on screen, so you know where the cost. The Epson being the most expensive of the bunch, and the Mars 2 Pro being the cheaper of the bunch. So let's start off, first of all, with ease of use. Which of this is easiest to use and set up? Honestly, they're very easy to set up. It's pretty much a plug and play, and they do have quick autofocusing functionality. But I will give that actually more to the Samsung, because Samsung actually feels more like a TV experience from the get-go, and that leads me also to software. So the best software I still think is the Samsung, because you do have that familiar Samsung TV UI, which allows you to navigate, and you have access to all your different apps on there. Now, the others, meaning the 2 benqs, the Nebula Solar, as well as the Epson, all run Android TV, and they do that really well, while the Nebula Mouse 2 Pro, that only runs its special operating system, which is kind of clunky, and it does have some apps like Netflix and YouTube, but it detaches from the whole experience. Now, speaking of Netflix, this is a very big point here. The Samsung has Netflix, as you would expect, as well as also all the other streaming apps, while the Epson, the 2 benqs, and the Nebula do not have access to Netflix. You can sideload Netflix to the Nebula, but it's still a clunky experience. I did try on both benqs. I didn't get it to work, but I'm sure you can sideload it too, as well as up to the Epson. But again, it is not built in, so for some certain consumers, that might be a difficult option. So buyer beware, Netflix is just harder to get. Samsung is much easier for that. All right, so what about picture quality? Which is the most important thing? Is this bright in daylight? Is this something you can definitely use? So let's take a look at the lumens for each one. Samsung says 550. We do have 500 here for the Nebula Solar. We have 300 for the GV30, and then we have 500 for the GS50, while the Mars 2 Pro comes in at 500, and the Epson is 1,000 lumens. So right off the bat, this is where you see differences. So starting off with the least in terms of brightness in any condition, whether it's daylight or low, or also low light setting or darker setting, is the Samsung. Samsung was hard to see during daylight, and also was difficult to see as well when it's actually darker within the room. I didn't like the contrast, and looking at the specs at 300:1 contrast, it was really hard to see a lot of things clearly, even though this is a really unique looking projector. After the Samsung, I would go with the Mars 2 Pro. Even though at 500, it was bright, but 720p resolution feels a bit muddled for me. Still a really good looking projector in terms of output and brightness. Then I will go with the GV30 from benq. That was also, even though it's 300 lumens, it still did a really good job with brightness. And you do have different scene settings like cinema, gaming, sports, where you can adjust some of that brightness as well to give you the best, whether it's daytime or of course nighttime with the GV30. Then we do have the Nebula Solar Portable, really bright, 500 lumens, really looks good, especially on this screen, and also in daylight too, comes out really well. And then the GS50 does a really good job with its brightness, it's sharp, you can see things quite clearly, and this takes a good solid second spot. But the winner in terms of just brightness and also visibility in any situation is the Epson. The Epson at 1000 lumens, definitely you can see it showcases. You can see it really, really well in daylight with the windows open, or even in a darker situation where the lights are dimmed or off, where it looks really vibrant. The colors also stand out and pop out. So the Epson definitely takes the cake if you're looking for the best in terms of brightness. Now, audio quality. We do have speakers built into all of them, right? So where do they stand? I could give you samples, but honestly, it's just best for you to actually just see which one stacks in terms of audio quality. Samsung is the lowest. It does have a smaller speaker, and also it's a smaller form factor. It can get loud, but it definitely gets muddled after that. Then I will go with the Nebula Solar Portable. It definitely sounds much better than the Samsung, but again, when you get to higher volumes, it becomes a bit muddled. Then after that, I move over to the Mars 2 Pro, which sounds pretty loud, but I think the bass frequency feels a little bit off with those. Then it's the GV30, which sounds pretty good, even though the speaker feels like just a single firing speaker from the very top. Sounds loud and clear, a bit muddled in certain parts, but pretty good. Then the GS50 that has stereo speakers, sounds really good on them. And finally, the Epson with the Yamaha sound and also the kind of 360 speaker build, which is all around the projector, making it actually sound really good in any situation possible. Now, as I did mention, most of these projectors have portability built in mind. The two benqs have, of course, built-in batteries, and they do have options where you can watch a full movie within that time frame. It says 3 hours, or you can do 1.5 to give you better brightness on there. Same thing with the Nebula, as well as also the Nebula Solar Power, as well as also the Nebula Mars 2. They do have built-in batteries and similar functionality. As I mentioned, the Samsung, you can use a power bank to power it, while the Epson does not have. So Epson, of course, takes the last points here. Samsung followed, and the others are kind of stacked up together. Whoop. Oh, sorry guys, there is a late entry into this game. This is the Xgimi Horizon. This is a 1080p projector, and it's got built-in speakers around, Harman Kardon. Now you're wondering, why so late? Well, I got this later after I started recording the video. I didn't want to re-record, so I kind of added it in the end, but you'll see why in a second. Now you've got a power port at the top, volume, as well as also play button. At the back of the device, we do have two HDMI ports. One has an eARC to USB, optical, a LAN port, and an audio port with this device. The control is a standard control, it gives you access to it. This doesn't have any built-in battery. You do have this massive power brick, so that, of course, doesn't allow you to take it portably anywhere, but it does have some really nice imagery on this projector, so things look bright and crisp. I was also able to put in Netflix on here, so that is actually pretty cool. And of course, I can play games like on Stadia and stuff like that. So with that being said, how do we rank things overall? Well, this is where we see who is the best projector under $1,000. So let's start off from the lowest. In last place comes in the Nebula Mars 2 Pro. This is a projector that, yes, does have built-in battery, but because the software is so clunky, the image quality is okay, it really doesn't do much to satisfy my needs at that price point. Then after that comes up the Samsung Freestyle. Yes, the Freestyle has the best software of the bunch, but the image quality is really dim, and of course the lumens, so it's not as bright as you would like. Even though I used a projector screen, most people will be projecting on a wall, you're not going to see as much. And I do like the interface, I do like the remote control, I do like its size and portability, even though you could use a power back, but it just takes that spot. Then moving up to the next spot, we do have the GV30 from benq. Now, I do like the benq projector for all these unique features, being able to tilt on its own stand, and also just its unique look. But it is not as bright as the others projectors ahead of it. And also, it's not as loud with its speakers, even though they're pretty good and they're much better than what the Samsung offers, but it's just not as loud. Next up is the Nebula Solar Portable. The Nebula Solar Portable is a nice projector. It is slim and flat, so it doesn't take up much square space. You can, of course, tilt it. I do like it's brighter at 500 lumens, and also you can navigate as well. I was able to kind of get Netflix on there, so that was a big plus above some of the other ones on this scale. But it's a solid projector, and I think they've done a good job there. Now, going next up is the benq GS50. Now the GS50 is a really nice projector because it's much brighter than everything else below it on this list, and also you do have some really nice sound with the better speakers and just from the size, and you've got this connectors as well. I wasn't able to get Netflix on here, but again, that's just a hit or miss of finding the right APKs all around for most of these projectors. Now our number 2 spot goes to the Xgimi Horizon. Yes, our late entry comes in because it was really bright, and this was kind of really hard for me to gauge. Yes, it was very bright. The sound was really good with the Harman Kardon audio. It's a bit on the muffled side when you really increase it to the highest volumes, but it's still pretty good. I do like the 2 HDMI ports. It is heavier and bigger than most other projectors. It doesn't have a handle or anything like that, and it's not really portable. That kind of puts it in my number 2 spot, but I really like it. And of course, my number 1 projector is the Epson EF12. Now, the EF12 had the best picture quality in all settings. It looked really good. It was very sharp. It was one that had the best sound overall from all the other projectors. So I definitely liked it there. And also has a small footprint as well. I do wish it had a built-in battery just for more portability, but overall pretty solid. So there is our list of best projectors, guys. If you have any questions, any comments, let me know. If you want to pick them up, use the links down below. Otherwise, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and always enjoy your entertainment.